Hi, my name is Kyle Kotovsky, and I am the creative director of Shrouded Depths. That's very funny because I ask myself those same questions. As cheesy as it sounds, yeah, I say that to myself. What is a creative director? This is the first project where we've had a creative director. And I asked, obviously, what do I do? Because we've never had this role before. And so I asked a few people, and I've got different answers from everybody. But the main thing that everyone told me that I kind of remembered, which is in the name of the position, is creative direction of the game. Because one of my biggest questions is, what's the difference between a creative director and a design lead? Turns out creative director is more broad strokes of the project. Like for instance, our game is set in like a 1930s Louisiana bayou, and so my job is to basically maintain that vision. So if someone pitches an idea of like, oh, what if we add in lasers, for example, I'd be like, they probably don't have that, but we do kind of have some interesting, weird, folklorish twist to our game. We might be able to include it. What kind of ideas you have? Their main job is to essentially just talk. It's say, hey, you're working on this thing. What do you think about it? Does it fit in our game? Et cetera, et cetera. That's the easiest way I can put into it. There's a bunch of nuances. I'm sure it's completely different in industry. I'm a student. Um, so I know I'm not a real creative director, but I'm trying my best here. That's what I think of creative director. Someone who maintains a vision and makes sure that the rest of the team understands that vision and follows it. That's actually an answer that I learned quite recently. Unfortunately, um, is the first thing you do. This goes for anybody. This can be for anybody on the team, not just me. Is you look at the pillars of your game. What are your pillars? Does this new idea follow the core pillars of the game? If it does, cool. Continue the idea. And keep iterating on it. If it doesn't, then figure out how to change it, or it might just not fit with the game. So some stuff does slip through, but I or usually someone else will catch it. Because the great part about being a creative director is that you're not the only person who understands the direction of the game. Your job is to maintain it. So other people might catch it. They'll be like, "Hey, this doesn't really fit," and they'll ask me, "Hey, do we want this in the game?" And then I kind of have the final decision of, "Yes, this fits. Yes, it could fit if we change it this way," or "No, it doesn't fit." That's kind of the process that I've gone through with the project. The original idea of the game was to have it be this: you are on this boat traveling through this swampy bayou area, getting attacked by this eldritch creature that is trying to destroy your boat. And we had this whole system where you could that like a boat like traveled along a river and it like loaded chunks in front of you, so it could be infinite in theory, but it was just too ambitious for what we wanted to do. We just didn't have enough time to polish it the way we wanted to. We had to cut scope pretty drastically from that. And that was something that I myself, unfortunately, didn't notice until halfway through the project when our vertical slice build was not very up to par with what it should have been. Granted, after that, we made a major pivot for our game, which is the way it is now. So I'm honestly very proud of our team for what we've done. I do really like the original idea. I wish we could have followed through with it, but unfortunately, the scope was just too big. The whole idea of scope is that you have this idea, and then okay, now half it, and then half it again, and that's your actual scope. We halved it, we didn't half it again, and that bit us in the end. And that also comes with us being on such a large team. There's communication issues that happen. That being said, I am still very happy with the game we have today, and I am very proud of our team for what they've made. my favorite, I guess to kind of roll back on what I just said, my favorite piece of content that unfortunately got cut was the fact that we got the boat moving in this environment along a predetermined path, which we could change however we wanted, and the environment would like change around you, and they would, like trees would like flip upside down, all this weird and wacky stuff. That was really cool. Our game is kind of contextualized as a demo, so I feel like our original idea could have been like the prelude to this moment happening in the game. You're going through this crazy environment, you got to get below deck, and now, which is what our current game is, would be like kind of the second half of the game. Hence why our game is pitched as a demo, because it essentially is. Still, functionally, all of it works, and we could bring it back, but we won't because it doesn't fit with our game. We were able to reuse a lot of the art in our current game, thankfully. A lot of our artists were happy about that.
Okay.
Um, but some of the engineering work, like for example, the boat following a path, we don't really have a use for that in our current game, so we had to axe that, unfortunately. The way that the senior capstones work at Bradley, senior game design capstones work at Bradley, is during your junior year, last semester, you have a class called Prototype Capstone, where you make 4 prototypes throughout the course of the semester that you then take as a senior and you kind of ideate off of. You're like, which prototypes do we like? Which ones do we not like? Which ones can we improve and make better? Obviously, you're not beholden to that. You can make whatever you want, but it's easier to have kind of the starting off point. One of our prototypes that we all really liked was this. It was called Post Apocalypse, where you played as a mailman fighting off eldritch horrors on the top of a train, and it was really fun to play. And we all really liked it. Like, we can improve upon this. That's where we went wrong. um, um, so that's where the boat idea came in, and like you're on a boat traveling through this environment area, because we thought, okay, what is a really interesting area that has a lot of like folklore in it that we can take advantage of, just kind of these mysterious places that aren't really talked about a lot in media. And we thought bayous, swamps. Personally, I take my biggest inspiration was actually from Red Dead Redemption 2 out of all
Ooh,
games,
okay.
because there's a really engaging area of the game that is in a swamp that is just visually like one of the best places in the game. Did our game take direct inspiration from that game, from Red Dead? No, not of course not at all. But it was part of this whole idea of like Southern culture doesn't really get talked about a lot
Mhm.
in games media. Our game, unfortunately, reduced scope a lot, that we weren't able to get a lot of that Southern culture in our game.
Yeah.
And a lot of us being from the Midwest at a Bradley University, obviously we don't have a lot of that knowledge just in our back pocket. So we had to research a lot, like how do people talk? What do they sound like? Like our captain, for instance, is voiced by someone in the Midwest, but they do have this rich Southern accent. A lot of additional research into like how that sounds, for example.
Okay.
Um, but besides that, I mean, a lot of our team just liked the idea of having this southern swampy environment because it's so but you rarely see that in video games. No, we just figured that there wasn't a lot Swampy Bayou stuff. We wanted to do Swampy Bayou stuff, and we thought boat or train, but mostly boat. We have a whole inside joke in our team where like, oh, we're gonna add a train to the game, and everyone's like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Don't worry.
No trains.
No trains,
No
no trains.
trains.
um, but yeah, that's kind of where the inspiration came from. It's just we like Swampy Bayou, and there's not a lot, and we want to make more of it. That's a really big question. I guess the main thing for me is what is my job
Mhm.
as a creative director? I think the first I would say the first entire semester, first 3 months, I was just figuring out what the hell do I do. I'm still figuring it out. I have a little better idea of what my job is, but it's interesting because, as I said previously, this is the first time we've ever had a creative director position.
Mhm.
So I don't know how to act. I don't know how to deal with it, as well as our entire team doesn't know how to deal with it
Mhm.
because we've never had this kind of position before.
This is good.
Honestly, My biggest challenge personally has just been clearly communicating um, our vision for our game to our team.
I see.
This was the biggest challenge that I faced, or that we all faced, um, at the beginning of the project. It's gotten a lot better now, because we've streamlined it, we've clarified a lot more. But that was on my fault. That was my fault. Why our game kind of fell flat, um, pretty late into development in like November, December,
Mhm.
because I was very optimistic. Oh, we can do it, we can do it, we can do it. But I wasn't being realistic about
I see.
it. In my vision for what I wanted the game to be just wasn't possible with what we had. And on top of that, I didn't communicate it that effectively. That's changed.
Mhm.
I mean, at least this is my personal experience because I'm not the team. I feel like I've been communicating that a lot better. I feel like our team knows what our game is a lot better.
Mhm.
We've had more people involved with writing the story of the game. We've had more people involved in engine actually working on the actual game. Um, and I feel like it's gotten a lot better. But that I think was the biggest issue that I had and that our team had, and that honestly that stems from me, and I should have been better about that. But I've learned, and I feel like it's a lot better now, which is the
Uh,
point of Capstone, is
yeah,
to learn. I'm in
exactly.
school. That's kind of the point. Yeah.
And
2 more weeks. We got Fuse this upcoming weekend, and then 1 more week, and then we're done. We're done with the project.
fantastic.
Yeah, we do have some people who have interest in working on it over the summer. But we don't have any solid plans for that right now. But it would mostly be for like some things didn't get in that we want to get in,
Mhm.
and we won't be under the time restriction of obviously school. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm
absolutely.
really excited to see where this project goes.